Yo, what's going on, everybody? So I wanted to expand on that whole dopamine fried brain thing while I'm still stuck in this infinite useless cave. Anyways, the more I think about it, the more I realize this is like the invisible problem behind a bunch of other problems people complain about. Like, people will say they're depressed, they'll say they're unmotivated, they'll say they can't focus, they'll say dating feels impossible, they'll say they can't commit to anything, and it's like, yeah, a lot of that is real. But I swear a huge part of it is that everyone's reward system is completely cooked from living in this constant loop of instant stimulation. And I'm not saying that like I'm above it. I'm not sitting here on some I'm enlightened vibe. I've had weeks where I'm literally stuck in the same pattern. Wake up, check my phone, scroll for just a minute, suddenly it's like 40 minutes, then I feel behind on life, so I'm stressed. So I scroll more to numb the stress, then I feel guilty, then I try to do something productive. But my brain feels like it's full of static, so I give up and go back to scrolling. And then the day ends, and I've done nothing but consume other people's lives like it's my job. That's not living, that's just existing. The scary part is how normal it feels. Like, it doesn't feel like a problem while you're doing it. Doom scrolling doesn't feel dangerous, it feels like nothing. It feels like you're just killing time. But that's what makes it so brutal. It doesn't punch you in the face, it slowly drains you. It's like mental dehydration. You don't notice it until you're already cooked. And the reason it works so well on us is because your brain isn't designed for this. Your brain is designed for effort and reward. You do something hard, you get something good, you feel proud, you hunt, you build, you create, you solve problems, you get better at something. That's how humans are wired. But now we live in a world where you can get reward without effort. You can get entertainment without effort. You can get novelty without effort. You can get validation without effort. You can get comfort without effort. And your brain is like, yeah, give me that forever. Dopamine is basically the chemical that makes you chase. It's not even happiness. It's more like the anticipation of a reward. It's the feeling of maybe the next thing will be good. That's why scrolling is so addictive. Because even if the last 10 posts were boring, your brain goes, okay, but the next one might hit. And then you scroll again and again and again. And you don't even realize you're doing it. You're not choosing content anymore, you're just being fed. And short form content is the worst offender because it trains your brain to expect a reward every few seconds. There's no build up, there's no patience, there's no commitment. It's literally just hit, 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 hit. New clip, new face, new sound, new joke, new drama, new opinion, new outrage. And the algorithm learns you better than you know yourself. It figures out what makes you stop scrolling. It figures out what makes you angry. It figures out what makes you curious. It figures out what makes you feel insecure. It figures out what makes you feel superior. And then it just keeps serving you that. So you end up living in this state where your brain is constantly activated, but you're not actually doing anything. You're stimulated, but not satisfied. You're busy, but not productive. You're exhausted, but not fulfilled. And that's the dopamine trap. The thing nobody tells you is that when you constantly flood your brain with easy dopamine, you raise your baseline. So normal stuff starts feeling boring. You try to watch a movie and you're restless. You try to play a game and you keep checking your phone. You try to read and you can't focus. You try to learn something and you get irritated. You try to work and you feel like your brain is fighting you. Even hanging out with friends can feel boring because real life doesn't have jump cuts and background music and instant payoffs. Real life has pauses. Real life has silence. Real life has awkward moments. And your brain starts treating those normal moments like a problem. That's why people say they can't focus now. It's not that they're stupid. It's not that they're lazy. It's that their attention span got trained into a goldfish attention span by design. You've been conditioning your brain to quit the second something feels slow. You've been training yourself to escape boredom instantly. So of course, focusing feels impossible. You built a brain that expects novelty every 10 seconds. And once your attention is cooked, your life starts falling apart in these quiet ways. Because every meaningful thing in life requires attention. Relationships require attention. Work requires attention. Skills require attention. Health require attention. You can't build anything real if you can't sit with something long enough to grow it. That's why this dopamine thing connects to dating so much. Dating requires patience. It requires discomfort. It requires awkwardness. It requires risk. It requires rejection. It requires you to not get immediate payoff. And if your brain is trained on instant gratification, you're going to hate dating. You're going to hate the uncertainty. You're going to hate the slow pace. You're going to hate the waiting. You're going to hate the vulnerability. So what do people do? They avoid it. Or they treat dating like scrolling too. Like next, 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 next. And then they wonder why nothing feels real. And it's not just dating, it's friendships too. People say they're lonely, but then they spend all day consuming content instead of actually reaching out to anyone. And I get it, because reaching out takes effort, it takes vulnerability, it takes the possibility of being ignored. Scrolling is easier. Scrolling doesn't reject you. Scrolling doesn't judge you. Scrolling is always there. So people choose the easier dopamine. And then months go by and they're like, why do I feel disconnected? Because you replaced real connection with simulated connection. Even gaming can get wrapped into this. Like, gaming can be a healthy hobby, obviously. But there's a difference between playing a game because you genuinely enjoy it and playing a game because you can't sit with silence. There's a difference between relaxing and escaping. And a lot of people aren't relaxing anymore, they're escaping. They're using games the same way they use scrolling, just endless stimulation to avoid thinking. And then when the game gets boring, they alt-tab to YouTube. When YouTube gets boring, they open TikTok. When TikTok gets boring, they open Instagram. It's just a carousel of dopamine. And porn is a huge one too, because porn is basically the most extreme version of instant reward. It's not even about pleasure at that point, it's about dopamine spikes. It's about novelty, it's about switching. It's about chasing the next clip. And if you're constantly flooding your brain with that level of stimulation, normal attraction starts getting messed up. Real intimacy starts feeling slower. Real relationships start feeling like work. And then you're confused why you're not excited by real people the way you used to be. It's because your brain got trained on the most unrealistic, high stimulation version of intimacy. Same with junk food, same with weed, same with alcohol, same with anything that gives you a quick escape. None of these things are automatically evil, but when they become your main way of feeling good, you're basically outsourcing your happiness to instant gratification. And the more you do that, the weaker your ability to feel good from normal life becomes. That's why I call it dopamine-fried brain, because it's like your nervous system is constantly overheated. You're always slightly restless. You're always slightly bored. You're always slightly dissatisfied. You're always looking for the next thing. And you can't sit still long enough to build anything. And the worst part is the guilt cycle, because you scroll, then you feel guilty, then you scroll to escape the guilt. You watch content, then you feel behind, then you watch more content to numb the feeling of being behind. You procrastinate, then you feel stressed, then you procrastinate more to avoid the stress. It's a self-feeding loop. And if you're a guy, it hits even harder sometimes because men tend to deal with stress by withdrawing. They isolate. They go inward. They distract. They don't talk. They don't process. They're just numb. So doom scrolling becomes the perfect drug. It gives you stimulation without requiring you to show up. You don't have to be social. You don't have to be vulnerable. You don't have to do anything. You just sit there and consume. And then you wonder why you feel empty. Because you are empty. You're not building anything. You're just filling your brain with noise. So what's the fix? Because I hate when people talk about problems and then they give some fake solution like just delete everything and go live in the woods. Like, bro, that's not happening. Most people need their phone. Most people need the internet. And honestly, you don't have to become some monk. You just have to stop letting your brain get bullied by algorithms. The real fix is boring, and that's why it works. You have to rebuild your tolerance for boredom. You have to rebuild your attention span. You have to train your brain to handle slower rewards again. And that means doing stuff that doesn't give instant dopamine, reading, walking without headphones, working out without checking your phone every 2 minutes, cooking, cleaning your room, writing, learning a skill, doing something that takes time and focus. And the first few days feel awful. It genuinely feels uncomfortable. You feel restless. You feel like you're missing something. You keep reaching for your phone automatically. That's not because you're weak. It's because you built a habit. You built a reflex. Your brain learned that boredom equals scroll now, so you have to unlearn it. One thing that helped me is setting friction, like make it harder to scroll. Delete the apps or log out so you have to log in again. Turn your phone grayscale. Put your phone in another room when you're trying to focus. Even just turning off notifications helps a lot, because notifications are basically little dopamine hooks. They're like, hey, come back. There might be something. And most of the time, It's nothing. It's just noise. Another thing is replacing cheap dopamine with earned dopamine. That's the whole game. Cheap dopamine is scrolling. Earned dopamine is doing something hard and seeing progress, going to the gym but actually pushing, learning a skill and actually improving, working on something and finishing it, talking to people even when you feel awkward. Those things build confidence because they build proof. You get evidence that you can handle discomfort. And once you have that evidence, life gets easier. And I'm not saying you can never scroll again. I'm not saying you can never chill. The goal isn't to become miserable. The goal is to stop living like your brain is controlled by the next dopamine hit. Because when you live like that, you lose control of your time. And if you lose control of your time, you lose control of your life. It's also important to understand that doom scrolling isn't just entertainment, it's emotional manipulation. A lot of content is designed to make you angry, anxious, insecure, or outraged, because those emotions keep you engaged. If you're calm, you close the app. If you're angry, you keep scrolling. If you're insecure, you keep scrolling. If you feel like you're missing out, you keep scrolling. So you end up consuming negativity all day, and you don't even realize it's shaping your worldview. You start thinking the world is worse than it is. You start thinking everyone is evil. You start thinking nothing matters. You start thinking your life is hopeless. And then you're like, why am I so anxious? Because you're feeding your brain anxiety content. So yeah, dopamine fried brain isn't just about attention span. It's about your entire mental state. It's about your motivation. It's about your confidence. It's about your relationships. It's about your ability to enjoy life. Because if you can't focus, you can't build. If you can't build, you don't progress. If you don't progress, you don't feel proud. If you don't feel proud, you feel empty. And then you try to fill the emptiness with more scrolling. That's the loop. And the only way out is to accept that discomfort is part of the reset. You have to let yourself be bored. You have to let yourself feel the urge and not act on it. You have to let your brain calm down. And once you do, things start coming back. Your interest comes back. Your patience comes back. Your ability to enjoy simple stuff comes back. You start feeling present again. So if you feel like you can't focus, if you feel like you're constantly restless, if you feel like everything is boring, if you feel like you're tired but never rested, you're not crazy. You're not alone. Your brain is just overstimulated. And the good news is you can fix it. Not with some magic trick, but with small changes repeated consistently until your baseline resets. Anyway, that's my take. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Take care.